Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to Momtober Day 2. So today I decided to bring you guys along with me for a little bake with me. I may have mentioned in my last video that I decided to start a little baking thing on Instagram. If you're local, feel free to look me up. So I need to try out some recipes, and what better time than now. So I thought I'd bring you guys along with me for a little fall bake with me. Today we are going to bake cinnamon rolls, apple cider donut holes, and some Snickerdoodle cookies. So the Snickerdoodles are my mom's recipe. She makes delicious Snickerdoodles, so happy she shared that with me. The apple cider donut holes are a Pinterest find, which I will have linked to my Pinterest as well if you want to try it. And then the cinnamon rolls are actually a new recipe from a lady I found here on YouTube. I will link her below because I cannot remember her name off the top of my head right now. But I'll have her linked below because it's her recipe, so I'll tag her below. But I am going to switch up the icing a little bit. So her recipe calls for a cream cheese icing. And I don't know why, but I'm not the biggest fan of cream cheese frosting. I am here and there, but it's never my go-to. So I want to try something different than cream cheese this time. We'll see how it goes. But I'm excited. I've made cinnamon rolls before in the past. I have not made apple cider donuts or donut holes or Snickerdoodles. I've made them with my mom, but I've never done it all on my own. So they're not that hard. So I'm excited to try this new cinnamon recipe. I normally make Pioneer Woman's cinnamon rolls and they are delicious. However, they're smaller. So I was trying to find a recipe where you make bigger rolls, and I think I found the one. We'll see. I'll let you guys know. Let's get to baking. I've got a lot to do and not a lot of time to do it. So enjoy the video, you guys. If you do, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that red subscribe button so that you don't miss many more Momtober videos this month. All right, let's get baking. So here is the first recipe, cinnamon rolls. So I am trying to perfect my own cinnamon roll recipe. I typically use Pioneer Woman's recipe. However, I did find this lady on Instagram. I will link her down below, who had a video that they just looked tasty. I did switch up her icing, which I wish I didn't because the rolls were so delicious as it was. So for this recipe, we're going to need 1/3 cup of butter and 2 large eggs. As you can see, I'm breaking them in. And then you will just blend or whip those two together. And you're gonna need 1 1/4 cup of warm milk. I did forget to hit record, so you'll see what it looks like here, but you get the gist of how I poured milk in. Once that's all mixed together, you're going to mix 4 1/2 cups of flour, 1/2 cup of sugar, and 1 1/2 teaspoons of salt together in a separate bowl. Then you're going to add 2 1/2 teaspoons of yeast to the warm milk, butter, and egg mixture that you have already mixed. And then I just turn that on to stir just to mix it in a little bit, but it doesn't have to go long. It looks a lot faster, but that's only because the videos are sped up. And then I'm a very big fan of mixing things with your hands or with a spoon, and that's how she did it in the recipe, so that's how I did it here. I'm just going to slowly incorporate the dry ingredients with the wet ingredients as you see me doing here. And then after you put the remainder of the dry ingredients in, I just mix it around a little bit so it's not just flour everywhere. And then I poured it. I probably could have mixed it a little bit more, but I was excited for this part. Love mixing things with my hands. So as you can see, it was very sticky, so I added a couple more spoonfuls. That's a 1/4 cup measuring cup in some flour right there. So I added a couple more spoonfuls of flour to it. I wouldn't say they were full 1/4 cups, just a couple of little ones here and there. And then you want to grab a bowl. I don't have any pretty glass bowls or metal bowls to do this in, so you get my old IKEA plastic bowls. And you want to oil that bowl. I did way too much oil because I wasn't paying attention. As you can see, that paper towel was soaked. So I just wiped it out and it worked just fine. And then you're going to put the mixed dough into the bowl, and you're going to put it in a warm environment for 1.5 hours. Just put it in the oven with the oven off. I just turned the oven light on to keep it warm. I also wanted to document to you guys that this, excuse the mess behind me, but you know, I'm baking, that this is where we're at after an 1.5 hours. I'm gonna let it continue to rise because I am baking something else right now. So I'm just gonna let it rise because it's not gonna hurt it. All right, and so now that that's still rising, this is later in the night, I am making some vanilla butter. It's just some vanilla extract and some butter. However, my butter wasn't melted enough to mix it properly, so I just poured it in, mixed what I could, and moved on to the cinnamon brown sugar mixture. And then as you can see, mom life right here. She just wanted me to hold her that day, and I need to get one of those stands where the kids can stand next to you and bake. I have a couple pinned on Pinterest for Ramsey to make me. I also realized my bowl was way too small for what I was needing it for, so grabbed a bigger bowl. Thankfully the dishwasher was done at this time because I was running out of bowls this day. So now I'm just making the cinnamon brown sugar mixture for the inside of the cinnamon rolls. I tried mixing this butter up again, but I still think it needed a little bit more time, so I just kind of let it sit and get room temperature. My oven is on, and the kitchen was pretty warm at this point, so it ended up melting perfectly. Once your dough is ready, as you can see where it is to the left of me, I had ended up letting it sit for at least 2 hours here, so you want to really flour your area that you're going to be rolling the dough out, because it will stick. It's a pretty sticky dough. And then you just kind of roll it out, grab a rolling pin, and oh yeah, make sure you flour the rolling pin because again, it'll stick. I probably could have gone a little thinner on the right hand side. It was still pretty thick over here, but I typically used to do these way too thin, so I was, you know, trying something new this time. Once your dough is rolled to the size you want it, you basically just grab a basting brush, I think that's what it's called, and you pretty much just paint on that vanilla butter mixture as best you can. On there as thick as I could. I didn't really have much left over in the butter department. However, when I normally made Pioneer Woman's cinnamon roll recipes, there's little Briley again just wanting to be held. Sweet girl. When I made Pioneer Woman's cinnamon roll recipe in the past, she uses a lot more butter, but she also melts the butter, so it's a lot messier. So I enjoy this process a lot more. However, I probably would use a little bit more butter. Can you ever have enough butter? Like, really? So now we are just sprinkling on that cinnamon brown sugar mixture. I tried using a spoon, but honestly, use your hands, you guys. It's so much easier. I can get such a prettier, more even disbursement of it. Kind of hard to see, but Briley's in my arms right now, helping sprinkle the rest of it on. Then I did have to put her down. If you guys could hear the background right now, Ramsey's holding Briley for me, but she was just screaming. I don't recommend doing this process in the future with a screaming toddler behind you because I rushed it, and you'll see in the end the right side was a little too loose, but that's just because I would see how it kind of rolls back, and you'll see even a lot more in the video, but it all worked out and it stayed together perfectly. And like I said, the dough part of these rolls were amazing. So you just tug a little, pull and roll. Tug, pull and roll. That's my trick at least. I also would leave a little bit of the top section not covered in cinnamon, but if you just roll it to where the seal is down and just kind of like let it sit, and maybe you can see that section's the section that was a little too loose, but just let it sit there like I am as I butter the dish with any remaining butter that was left in the bowl, which wasn't much, but you don't need that much. But if you just kind of like let the dough sit there, it really held together pretty nicely, even though it wasn't the best roll I've ever done. So you just cut it in half so you can manage it easier. Cut off the ends because who wants to eat those? Just kidding, I totally ate them. You'll see later. They're not as pretty in the pan, you know? And then I cut each half in half and then half again. And I mean, you can leave them super thick if you want them that thick. However, I wanted them pretty normal size. And then you just grab your buttered dish. I really thought that this shot was in the camera, so sorry it's cut off, but you get the gist of what I'm doing. Alright, and then you just let them rise for 20 to 40 minutes. This is what they look like after 40. These are just the ends, but this is what they look like after 40 minutes of rising. Them in the oven at 400 degrees for 14 to 18 minutes. I think it ended up being 16 minutes, and I probably could have gone one more minute longer because they were a little doughy, but they're still yummy. While that was baking, I went ahead and got the icing together, which was 2 cups of powdered sugar, 2 tablespoons of salted butter, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and 4 tablespoons of milk. I still felt that this icing was a little too watery, so I added 2/3 of a cup more of powdered sugar, and I still thought it was a little too watery, but I made it work. Personally, not my favorite icing. I'll probably do a cream cheese icing next time. I was just trying to do something different this time, but I'll stick to what everyone wants. Alrighty, moving on to recipe number 2, baked apple cider donut holes. So for this recipe, I've already got the apple cider going because you have to cook it down from 1 cup to 1/2 cup. I'm just going to go through the ingredients on this one really quick and just tell you everything you're going to need. You're going to need 1 cup of apple cider, which you will cook down on the stove like I just said, to 1/2 cup, 1 1/2 cups of flour, 1½ teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 1/4 of a teaspoon of ground nutmeg, 1/8 of a teaspoon of ground cloves, 1/4 a teaspoon of salt, 1/4 a cup of plain Greek yogurt, 1/2 a cup of brown sugar, 1 large egg, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter. You're going to want that melted and slightly cooled, so just be ready for that. And then for the cinnamon sugar coating, you're going to do unsalted butter, granulated sugar, and ground cinnamon. So, as you can see, I boiled down my apple cider, and I'm just putting it in the fridge right now to cool while I get the wet ingredients mixed. So I mixed all the dry ingredients, meaning the flour, baking powder, cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves, and salt in the stand mixer. And then in a separate smaller bowl, I mixed the Greek yogurt, brown sugar, large egg at room temperature, vanilla, 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter, melted and slightly cooled, and then the now 1/2 cup of cooled apple cider. So it looks like I didn't have the cider in the fridge for that long. However, it was long enough to be cool and not hot. I just cut that time frame out. And then I slowly mix the wet ingredients in with the dry ingredients. Is that cool? You like it? Hey. Yeah. So I very rarely read the notes at the bottom of other people's recipes. However, I happened to read them this time, and they suggested piping it into a mini muffin pan like I'm doing. And honestly, it was so easy doing this. It was so quick as well. So I piped it all in there and then put it in the oven at 350 degrees for 11 to 14 minutes. Then you just sit there and let them cool for about 5 minutes, and then you can transfer them onto a cooling rack from the pan. I was very curious to try these because I'm a very eat-as-you-go baker, so that I know I don't miss any ingredients, and then I can tell if I don't like the flavor of something. However, I am pregnant, and with raw egg, it's just not smart to do. So I was very curious to try these. They're kind of plain without the sugar cinnamon mixture on the outside, but they were still good. I was a little bummed that they looked like muffins instead of donut holes. However, once you put the cinnamon sugar part on them, I feel like they looked more like donut holes. So once they've totally cooled, I just mixed like I said, the cinnamon and the sugar together, and then you literally just dip the ball into the butter. I recommend shaking off as much butter as you can get because it'll get rather chunky in the cinnamon sugar part of it, and I don't like that much, so shake off as much butter as you can and then just roll it in the cinnamon sugar mixture. Simple as that. On to our third recipe, Snickerdoodle cookies. Can you guys guess the theme? Cinnamon. So as you can see, Briley was so excited when I turned that stand mixer on again, so she came running because she wanted to watch it. You are going to cream together 1 cup of salted butter with 1½ cups of sugar. I don't think my butter was fully room temperature at the time or like softened, so that's why I put my hand underneath to try and use my like warmth from my hand to warm up the bowl a little. All right, and then in a separate bowl, you're gonna add 2 3/4 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of cream of tartar, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And then just mix that together separately. Okay, and then once all the dry ingredients are mixed together, you will add the dry ingredients to the wet ingredients, but you do need to sift them in and then mix them. So as you can see, I just used the little mini sifter. You could take the bowl off and use a large sifter as well. You just mix them all together. Once they are mixed, you then, and I did call in the middle of doing all this, my mom, and confirm that I did not have to do this part, but you roll them into balls and then you can directly roll them into the cinnamon sugar mixture. However, this time I rolled out the balls first and then I rolled them into the cinnamon sugar mixture, and I just feel like it's one extra step, but it's not a big deal. So in the future, it's up to you what you want to do. Once they are rolled in the cinnamon sugar mixture, my mom told me that you should pat them down. However, I had one batch that I didn't pat down and they came out just fine as well. So if you want to patch them down so they're not thick when they come out, that's fine. If you don't want to, that's fine as well. Once they are rolled in cinnamon sugar, you put them into the oven at 375 for 8 to 10 minutes. And I want to say these came out at 9 minutes this time. All right, you guys, that is going to be it for my fall/cinnamon bake with me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up because it really supports my channel. Also, don't forget to hit that red subscribe button so you don't miss many more videos in the future. And if you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them in the comments section below or find me on any of my Instagrams. I'll have them listed below as well. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed day 2 of Momtober. Bye, guys. All right, you guys, so it is the next day, and I just wanted to let you guys know how each recipe turned out. As you saw in the photos, they all look delicious, but did they taste delicious? So, verdict on the cinnamon rolls. I shouldn't have switched the frosting out from the cream cheese frosting to this new butter frosting that I made. It was not bad. It isn't bad. We will eat them. They're delicious. I love the roll recipe. Love it. But I need to work on the icing, so I'll be making those again this month. I do have an event coming up that I'm trying to perfect my recipe for. And then the apple cider donut holes are delicious. They were my husband's favorite, and he brought them to work along with the cinnamon rolls, and they were everyone's favorite there as well. So, and those were eaten the next day. I personally recommend warming them up. They were so good. Makes me want one right now. And last but not least, the Snickerdoodle cookies, always a crowd favorite. Tons of those. I didn't have Ramsey bring any to work because of my guilty pleasure of wanting them all. But I know I'm not gonna eat them all, so, I mean, this is how many we have. So I hope I don't eat them all. So there's everyone's standing on it. I know I already closed out the video, but I had to let you guys know what everyone thought of everything. So hope you guys enjoyed the video again. Bye, guys.
say I'm coming home to you. I'm coming